Chapter 1. Korean Airlines Flight 007 departed John F. Kennedy International Airport a few minutes after midnight on August 31, 1983. The aircraft was a Boeing 747-200. There were 269 people on board, including the crew. The first leg of the journey took them to Anchorage, Alaska. From there, they would fly non-stop to Seoul, South Korea, the flight's final destination. Takeoff from Anchorage was set for 4:20 a.m. The crew learned that the winds they'd be flying into were light. This meant that time could be saved. This also meant that if they left on time, 4:20 a.m., they would arrive in Seoul 30 minutes before the airport opened at 6 a.m. September 1st. The flight would cross the international dateline over the Pacific Ocean. Light headwinds and less flying time also saved fuel. Takeoff was delayed 40 minutes. This delay made it easier for the ground crew to clean and service the airplane. 3 minor cockpit problems had been detected on the flight to Anchorage. These were checked out by the ground crew technicians. They were reported to be okay for the rest of the trip. A new crew came aboard for the flight to Seoul. This crew was led by Captain Chun Byung-in. Captain Chun and his crew were given a pre-flight briefing. The briefing covered routine things: ramp position, takeoff time, and the weather, plus details of the computerized flight plan. Nearly 38,000 gallons of high-grade kerosene jet fuel were aboard. This was more than enough to fly the 747-200 to Seoul. Everything seemed normal. During the layover, the passengers had a chance to stretch their legs and window shop in the airport lounge. Or they could mingle with passengers from Korean Airlines Flight 015. Flight 015 was also bound for Seoul, a sister flight that had started in Los Angeles. Flight 015 would trail 007 by only a few minutes. The trip from Anchorage to Seoul was a daily routine for both these flights. Flight 007 passengers were summoned back to the airplane. They filled 2/3 of the 374 seats. The flight plan was very much like the one flown every day from Anchorage to Seoul. They would take off heading west. After 50 minutes, about 350 nautical miles, they would fly over Bethel, a fishing village near the western tip of Alaska. After Bethel, the route would jog 7 degrees southwest. It would then pick up an international flight route known as R20. Route R20 is one of 5 such North Pacific routes from Anchorage to the Far East. R20 is 50 miles wide. It comes within 20 miles of Russian airspace. The route runs along the Kamchatka Peninsula and the Kuril Islands. Once it was south of Russian territory, the aircraft would turn more to the west. It would then cross northern Japan to Seoul. But within 10 minutes of takeoff, Flight 007 began to drift off course. 30 minutes later, over Bethel, it was 12 miles off course. After that, Flight 007 never got back on R20. Instead, it went farther and farther north toward Russia.